This video here is going to help you a lot if you're somebody who struggles with bad habits and you notice that these bad habits are causing you pain, but for some reason you still can't stop doing them. This is something that I struggled a lot with for basically my entire life, and it became a really huge problem for me when I was about 16 years old. I would play video games for sometimes up to 14 hours every single day. I'd play League of Legends until my eyes were burning from staring at the screen. My back was hunched over. It would hurt. I would feel very antsy and restless and super stressed out. My mom would call me to come eat dinner, and I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up, mom." I'm playing League of Legends. So I was basically suffering a lot by doing this habit, and I would also watch tons of porn, like copious amounts of porn, smoke too much weed, eat pizza and chocolate, and I was suffering a lot, and I knew intellectually that these things weren't good for me. But still, I couldn't stop doing them. It was like I was just watching myself torture myself, and I didn't know why I kept doing it. So, over the last few years, I've been able to basically purify my life from this kind of clinging to these negative habits, and I'm going to share with you exactly how I was able to do that. And it's actually a lot simpler than you think. And the key insight here is that burgers do not equal pleasure. And when I say burgers, what I mean is just some kind of unconscious, unhealthy habit that you know is bad for you. So there's nothing wrong with burgers. I'm not saying burgers are evil or bad. If you like burgers, congrats. I like them too. And every once in a while, I'll have a veggie burger or whatever, but I haven't had an actual hamburger in a very long time because I've realized that burgers do not equal pleasure. And you can substitute burgers with cigarettes, with video games, or just, overdoing video games. Again, there's nothing wrong with video games. Obviously, cigarettes are, not good for you. But the point here of this video is not to demonize or judge you or for doing these unhealthy habits. The point of this video here is just to help you understand and to gain more awareness that these things that you're doing that you think are giving you pleasure actually aren't even giving you pleasure. They're actually causing you to suffer. So there's this book called Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. And I've never been addicted to cigarettes in my life, thankfully, because my parents smoked a lot of cigarettes when I was young, and they would always tell me, like, whatever you do, don't smoke. It's like the worst thing ever. And, even my friends in school that were older than me that would smoke say, yeah, don't smoke. I don't even like smoking. And I would be so confused. All these people are smoking cigarettes. They don't even like doing it. They feel bad about it. They tell other people not to do it. Yet for some reason, they can't stop doing it. So this would confuse me. I say, why are you continuing to do this thing that's causing you pain? And I was the same way with video games and weed and porn. And what Alan Carr says in the book, Easy Way to Stop Smoking, I was listening to the audiobook because I was just so fascinated. I heard about it in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. And what James Clear says in Atomic Habits and what Alan Carr says in Easy Way to Stop Smoking, he says basically smokers are emotionally confused, where they feel like in order to quit cigarettes, they feel like they're giving something up. they feel like they're going to be missing out on some kind of pleasure. So if I have to quit smoking cigarettes, that's going to be a negative experience because I'm going to be missing out on the pleasure that I get from that nicotine rush. But what Alan Carr says is that if you actually pay attention, that cigarette actually isn't causing you pleasure. It's actually causing you pain and suffering. And by giving it up, you're not really giving up pleasure. You're just giving up pain and suffering. And it's actually very effortless and easy. You're not missing out on smoking a cigarette. You're actually missing out on being cigarette free if you continue to smoke. So the key insight here in this video is that when you're unconscious and you're emotionally confused, you misunderstand which actions bring pleasure and happiness and which actions bring pain and suffering. This is very key. So in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, after you finish doing a meditation session where you cultivate some compassion and awareness within yourself, after you finish doing the meditation session, you do a prayer that goes like this. Idam te punyakamam asawakayawaham hotu. And what that prayer means is, by these wholesome actions, may the emotional confusions of myself and others be removed. So by doing this meditation practice, by raising my awareness, by improving my clarity and cultivating my compassion, by these wholesome actions that bring genuine happiness, may the emotional confusions of myself and others be removed. So what is an emotional confusion? Basically what it is you're misunderstanding what happiness is and what causes happiness. And you may even understand intellectually what happiness is and what causes happiness, but most people aren't even there yet, which is what this video is going to help you with, just to understand intellectually. But then there's another level, a level deeper, where you have to also understand emotionally. It needs to be embodied. You need to directly experience what actions bring you happiness and which actions don't. So for example, after I finished my meditation retreat, I just got back 2 days ago, one of my friends that was on the retreat, he said, yeah, after we get out of here, I'm so excited to go eat some greasy food. We went to go get a Philly cheesesteak poutine with cheese sauce and bacon and ground beef and fries, basically. So we drive to the restaurant. We get this Philly cheesesteak, these fries, and I was in the restaurant and I was looking at the menu, right? And it was just, it was actually called Filthy Phillies or something. So they even know that the food is filthy. So the point of the restaurant is that it's just greasy, unhealthy food. So my friend orders a bacon poutine. And I was looking at the menu and I just got off of a meditation retreat. This is like my 14th retreat or something like that. So I've been pretty experienced with meditation, so I was looking at the menu and I was just feeling in my heart like I genuinely don't really want any of this food. And I was pretty hungry. But I was looking at the menu and I was just like, I actually just don't want this food to be in my stomach. So through practicing meditation and through all the times that I've eaten greasy, unhealthy food, because on my last meditation retreat in August, so last summer, I was with that same friend and together we actually went to go get a burger. And that time I actually had, I didn't have a burger, but I had some French fries. And after my meditation retreat, I ate those French fries, and I remember it hurt my stomach, like a lot. And I just felt terrible for the rest of the drive home. So having that memory, that direct experience that comes from practicing meditation and being aware of your body, I remembered that last time it hurt my stomach, so this time I didn't order anything, basically. And the key insight here is that my friend is basically emotionally confused. And no judgment, right? It's pure compassion. I completely understand because I'm emotionally confused in certain areas and I'm working on purifying that. But my friend's emotionally confused because he actually thinks that this poutine with bacon and ground beef and cheese sauce, he thinks that's pleasure. But the insight is that it's not pleasure, it's pain. And even if you pay very close attention, even when it's in your mouth and you're chewing it, you think, okay, sure, it's pleasurable when it's in my mouth, but it's painful when it's in my stomach. If you pay very close attention, you're chewing it, it's in your mouth, your body actually reacts against the food even when it's in your mouth. There's like a kind of a tension, a kind of holding on that your body does, like, please don't swallow this food, it's not good. It's a subtle, gross, yucky kind of feeling, like ugh, that your body does. It's a very subtle feeling. I can't communicate it, but when you chew and you pay attention, you eat gross food. Next time you eat junk food, pay attention. Your body actually doesn't want you to swallow it. It feels pretty good on your tongue, but your body knows that it's painful. So how many times in my life have I eaten some junk food? Once I had an entire pizza. I went to a pizza restaurant. I had a whole pizza to my face. It was like 8 slices. I ate the whole thing. And then immediately after, I went to go do a yoga class. So I was there, doing downward dog with an entire cheese pepperoni pizza in my stomach. And that entire class, I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't do any of the stretches. I felt heavy. I felt foggy. I felt clouded. And then my actual stomach was hurting. So after an hour and a half of being forced to be aware that pizza does not equal pleasure, it equals pain. By getting this direct experience, not knowing it in my mind as an idea, like, oh yeah, pizza's not good for you, but it's just like an idea. This idea has to actually come into your body. You actually have to see it, be forced to be aware of it. Because I was in that yoga class in excruciating pain. After that, I actually stopped eating bread and cheese for almost 2 or 3 years. And that actually led me to take my health a lot more seriously. And I actually developed some long-lasting healthy eating habits that have really, made me healthy. Basically, I've been eating fruits and vegetables ever since. That's because very deeply in your psyche, on the emotional level, which is not logical, it has no logic because, again, logically you know that video games and porn and weed make you feel bad. But you have to understand emotionally, which is not verbal. I can't explain it to you. You need to see for yourself that this action actually produces pain and suffering, not happiness. So before we get into more examples, let's talk about what actually is happiness. Because the reason why beings are emotionally confused is because they're actually lacking a genuine experience, a reference of what is actual happiness. So from my experience with meditation, every human being has experienced genuine happiness at some point in their life. But what I've discovered with meditation is that you develop the ability to actually develop happiness and hold on to it and keep it, basically. Whereas normally it kind of passes away and then you cling to it, and that creates suffering. So in order to understand what genuine happiness is, we need to understand what genuine happiness isn't. What happiness isn't is you clinging to experience, you chasing after a pleasurable experience that's somewhere in the future, chasing after future pleasure does not produce happiness, and also avoiding pain and suffering that's in the present, avoiding it, trying to run away from it, to turn your attention away from it, to distract yourself. That avoidance of the present moment that has pain and suffering in it, that also does not produce genuine happiness. And also, as a bonus, ignoring this whole cycle of chasing after pleasure and avoiding pain and trying to kind of numb it and ignore it and maybe drown it out under a mountain of food or a mountain of video games. That also doesn't produce genuine happiness. Any kind of numbing activity does not produce genuine happiness. Genuine happiness comes when you are awake and clear and present in the moment with acceptance and not trying to change or manipulate this moment, but just being here grounded with what actually is here. Even if your stomach hurts, still being here with the pain. Not trying to avoid it, but just seeing into it, accommodating it, kind of allowing it to be here, softening around it. That wakefulness, that grounded, that presence, that produces genuine happiness. And that's how it actually works. So the problem again is most beings are emotionally confused. We are actually confused. We don't know what happiness is. We think that so you'll notice that human beings who are less developed, who have less consciousness, who have less compassion, who have a more limited ability to embrace and love other people, these people are in lower states of consciousness, usually resulting from very harsh and difficult survival situations. So, for example, in Compton, right, in the ghettos, most people are embodying a lower state of consciousness, like Spiral Dynamics Stage Red, which is very violent, very brutal, and a lot of these people get genuine happiness, or they think that they get pleasure from jumping somebody and robbing them, or even from shooting someone down, a drive-by shooting on the street. This is something fun and exciting for people who live in the ghetto. And that just goes to show how deep this emotional confusion can go. A more mild example would be like a child who is killing ants, right? You ever found like an ant hill and just kind of wanted to like step on all the ants, just kill all of them? I've done that before. So when you're a child, you're not able to really understand the suffering of others. And you don't really understand that those ants are sentient beings as well. They want to live just as much as you do. They feel pain. They feel pleasure. They are extremely intelligent beings, and by killing millions of them, that not millions, but by killing hundreds of them, by stepping on like an ant colony, that produces suffering, right? That killing is not an action that I would do today, just because I love ants. I don't want to hurt them. Reminds me of the movie The Ant Bully, which is an amazing Disney movie about basically about this kid who's bullied by someone that's older than him, and he kind of takes that anger out on this colony of ants. And the ants, they call him the ant bully, and what they do is they shrink him down with this magic potion. They shrink him down to ant size, and they bring him into the colony, and they force him to live as an ant. So the whole movie is him learning compassion, because he lives as an ant, and he actually by the end of the movie understands that even ants deserve love and compassion. So he had to develop himself. He had to raise his awareness. He had to actually live through an ant's life to actually understand that ants want love and compassion as well. So basically when your consciousness is not very developed, you misunderstand what causes pleasure and what causes pain. And the only way to solve this problem is by raising your awareness and your consciousness through some kind of meditation practice. So, meditation, there's actually tens of thousands of different kinds of meditation, and almost all of them are amazing. But generally what needs to happen is that you need to actually just be aware of yourself throughout the day. And there's really no need to stop yourself from doing the habit. So Alan Carr, in his book, Easy Way to Stop Smoking, he says, as you read this book, don't stop smoking. He says, continue smoking as you read the book, but just contemplate what I'm saying here. You don't have to quit. Even by the end of the book, if you finish reading it and you still want to keep smoking, by all means. But just be aware of what you're actually doing. He says in the book, you think that smoking relieves your stress, but actually it doesn't relieve your stress at all. It actually increases your heart rate. It actually makes you more agitated. So many smokers, when they feel angry, they want to smoke a cigarette so that they can kind of calm down. But what Alan Carr shows you in the book is that it actually doesn't calm you down. It actually makes you more agitated. So the key here is to actually pay attention to what is actually happening in your experience, because we have stories that we tell ourselves, like, oh, if I smoke a cigarette, that will calm me down. Or, oh, I'm very tired right now. Let me pull out my phone and scroll on Instagram. That'll help me relax. Let me just kind of shut my brain off and watch some movies on Netflix so that I can relax. But if you meditate, and which I have a free training, and the link in the description will teach you one of my favorite meditation practices that will actually raise your awareness and show you what is going on in your experience, because 99% of what actually happens in your body, you don't even know is happening. You're just lost up in concept land all day. You're completely disconnected from your body, which is why you have this story that you tell yourself, oh, if I watch Netflix, then I'll relax. But if you go on a meditation retreat, or even if you just start practicing more meditation, you might notice, oh, when I play video games all day, that's not relaxing. That's actually very stressful. So what happened to me was I I would be so afraid to quit video games because I felt like I was denying myself pleasure. I felt like in order to quit porn or in order to quit weed, I was denying myself pleasure. But I didn't realize that I wasn't denying myself anything. If when I actually did the action, when I actually played video games in full awareness, I realized that I feel stressed out when I'm playing. I'm in like a fight or flight response. I'm trying to survive. Right? It's like very agitating. And I had to actually just play, but be aware of myself while I'm playing and realize that I'm actually not happy right now. Going into some examples, it's same with porn. A lot of guys have trouble quitting porn. There's nothing wrong with masturbating. Pleasuring yourself is a good thing. The thing is, when you overdo it, especially with porn, you might notice that you're actually intaking a very low quality energy. It's kind of like McDonald's, right? It's kind of good when you're chewing it, but then when it's in your stomach, it completely ruins your energy, your mood. It's a very low quality food that you're feeding yourself with. And we feed ourselves with more than just food. We feed ourselves with air, with water, and also with information, right? With sunlight, with conversations. So human beings live by nutriment from all sorts of different things. So when you feed your mind with, let's say, a horror movie, right? Some horror movies are great, like The Shining. It's a great movie. But some horror movies are just really cheesy, and the point of the movie is just to kind of instill fear within you. When you feed your mind with that, you might notice that it actually causes me suffering. And now I'm afraid for no reason. When I go to bed at night, I can't even sleep. I'm just on edge for some reason. Do I want to be on edge all day, or do I want to be calm and grounded and relaxed? So you think the horror movie is entertaining you. You think it's pleasurable, but with more awareness you realize, oh, it's actually painful. And that's really the key insight that I'm trying to communicate here. And then another solution for this problem is doing psychedelics. But that really only works if you have a foundation of some kind of meditation or mindfulness practice. Just doing psychedelics from ground zero usually actually just causes more problems than it solves. Psychedelics are not something that will solve your problems. You need to use them as a tool by, first of all, training your mind to abide in the present moment, becoming familiar with your habit patterns and your emotional states by practicing meditation. Then, once you have that foundation, then you can use psychedelics to kind of take that to the next level, right? And that does shoot up your consciousness by 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, and can really help you purify your emotional confusions. I've had many psychedelic trips where I just realize the toxic patterns that I keep doing over and over again. But what people don't realize is that this realization of your toxic patterns is not butterflies and rainbows. It's usually very grueling. Usually you have to kind of just lie there and just stew in your delusion, and you really come face to face with your own delusion. A lot of times it's shocking. A lot of times it's uncomfortable, and we would rather just stick our head in the sand and avoid it. But what's great about psychedelics, if you're actually willing to face yourself, to face your demons, and shine the light in those dark corners, then you're going to be a lot happier, and you're going to be able to quit your bad habits, to install good habits, and just to live a happy life, which is what I want to help you do here on this channel. I make videos like this every single week, and if you're interested, you can check out the free meditation class where I teach you how to do Vipassana meditation. You can click that first link in the description. That will take you to that class. And the last announcement is that I'm working on my group coaching program. I'll be taking applications on April 2nd. This is going to help you embody higher consciousness. So the purpose of the program is not to give you more theory or more ideas or to force you to install habits into your life. The point of the program is to genuinely embody consciousness, and I'm going to be walking you through all of these practices that I've been learning for years and years and years. There's some practices that actually help you embody consciousness in your experience so that you can actually purify emotional confusions, so that you actually take your understanding of spirituality and personal development and you actually bring it into the body and make it real. All right, so I'll let you know when that's on its way, and I'll see you in the next one.